Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together we are Twinfinity.
We're twin flames in union, sharing our journey through a series of videos. This is now video number 24, called The Love That Won't Die. Before we get into that, though, Rob's going to tell us what crazy place of the world we're in now.
Well, this is probably going to be the toughest video we're going to do from a human perspective. We are on the side of a snow slope above a place called Chester Lake at a specific spot known as the Elephant Rocks. They're known as the Elephant Rocks because, well, as you can see by the one behind us, there's, well, probably within a half a kilometer of us, there's a half a dozen house-sized rocks and a bunch of bus-sized rocks all sprinkled around them. According to a couple of geologists I've talked to, there's a big mountain that's this way. And when it was all full of glaciers in here, part of the mountain fell onto the glaciers. They pulled them away from the mountain and then melted up from underneath these big rocks. And so now here they sit out in the middle of nowhere. If I move off to the side, you might be able to see in the background another big clump of them way back in the trees. So anyway, yeah, here we are. We're also on the side of a slope, so we're going to be squirming around all over the place because we are literally lying down.
Yes.
Literally lying
it
down.
Actually looks like that. You can see our feet.
Yeah.
There's my snowshoe.
And if I don't move during this video, my left hip is going to be frozen to the snowbank. It's going to probably have the equivalent of frost nips. So we're going to be squirming around all over the place, but we're more comfortable than we look, or else we wouldn't have hit start.
I don't know about that.
Okay. Anyway, headed into the recap.
I'm going to sit up a little bit.
I'm going to lay down a little bit. This is crazy.
We really truly are this strange in life, honest. Nothing abnormal for us.
Yeah, we do weird stuff like this all the time, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone didn't follow our footsteps up here to find out if we're okay. Anyway, recap from last week. Angie and I both shared of our relationships that we had during the time of separation. And we also talked about the lessons we learned in those relationships that help us grow and helped us come back into union. During that time, and also a little bit before and a little after, but we talked a lot about how Angie had dated 4 Robs in total, and I had dated 3 angels of various sorts. Angie got married, moved away, and then her job had brought her back to Calgary. I started into a 12-year relationship with my karmic number 2, and we talked a lot about how our other relationships were such blessings, and we wouldn't be together now were it not for the growth and learnings that we had during those other relationships.
Yes.
Okay, that is the recap.
Okay, before we start, I have to just put the thing back over the keyboard because it's starting to snow
we're
again.
starting to get a little
I
snow.
don't want snow all over my poor little laptop.
Yeah, okay.
So, sorry for being extra real in a video, but it's just the way life is.
If we didn't want snow in our videos and snow on our equipment, we probably would stay in our living room.
Right, we'd stay inside.
Yeah.
Now, before I get started into this video, I just wanted to touch upon a few things from the last one. I didn't really get to elaborate on the whole kind of topic about labeling. Like some people want to, label every relationship. Well, is this a karmic? Is this a narcissist? Is this a near twin, a true twin, a false twin? I'm just going to share my opinion. I mean, as we've shared through our whole journey, this is your path. So do what works for you. But my opinion is don't worry so much about the labels and just focus on the lesson. It doesn't so much matter what the relationship is, whether it has a label or not. It more matters that this person's in your life for a reason and they're in your life to give you some lessons and you them. So that's my opinion. Just worry about getting out of it what you're supposed to get out of it. The other thing I wanted to comment on, I know so many people are devastated when their twin gets married or gets into a relationship with someone else. And personally, I say celebrate. That's awesome because it means they're working on their stuff. Because anytime you're in a relationship, there's going to be stuff come up. No relationship is perfectly harmonious and no dynamics, no issues come up. So fabulous if they're working with somebody. It means they're growing and it means they're learning the lessons they need to come back into union. Good news.
This video is going to talk a little bit about that too, where getting upset and going off to a different relationship, actually, well, then you get into those other relationships. And as so often happens, you go from one relationship to the next one to the next one, and the same problems keep on coming up. And it forces you to keep on having to work on them and work on them because you get tired of having the same problems during relationship after relationship. And so after you get done doing a bunch of learning, sometimes you look back at a relationship 2 or 3 or 4 relationships ago, and you start to understand that if you knew then what you knew now, that relationship would stand a chance. And that's one of the mantras of how we are back together.
Yep.
But we got to get there first.
Yeah, so on that note, we'll get into this. So this is starting back at May 28th, 99, and this whole video is going to talk about the times that Rob and I reconnected through our times of being apart and being in other relationships. So the times where we kind of saw each other here and there and all the things that happened then. So if you remember from our last video, in 99 I met Wade at 7-Eleven, ended up dating him. So I was dating him when this kind of happened here. So I said, Rob called and we chatted for a while. I pissed him off. I insulted him about sleeping with women, so he hung up on me.
Now, hang on here.
Oh, we're taking a break already.
We're taking a break already. She was all upset, I think, and this could go back and forth here a couple of times, because I was trying to move on. I was getting into other relationships, but then we'd be back in touch, and of course we'd ask each other how things are, what's going on, and one or sometimes the other of us would be a little too honest, usually me, and I would say something that she wouldn't want to hear, and then bad things would happen with our communication.
Yes. Yes. So he hung up on me. This really happened. And why I wanted to share this is because people are so upset when their twin and them have a fight and they think, oh my God, he's never going to speak to me again. She's never going to talk to me again. Listen, you're twin flames. You're connected. You're always going to be connected. And it's so rare that you have that where you never speak again. At least it wasn't the case for us, that's for sure.
Yes.
So I was saying that he's never just hung up on me before. What's wrong with me? I'm angry and bitter all the time. I'm not the person I used to be. The person I was last year. And everything that we've been through now has taken its toll. I've become so hard after everything Rob and I have gone through. I've become hard and bitter and hateful. What happened to the carefree, loving Angie? So I was recognizing that this wasn't my normal personality to be so challenging to the point that he would hang up on me. And I, too, was very fearful that this was the end. He was never going to speak to me again.
I don't have a normal habit of hanging up on people,
No.
either professionally or personally. I think I might have done this 3 times in my life. This was one of them. One of them where the conversation, for the sake of preventing further damage, had to end right now, and it did. Click. Bye.
And obviously I said something offensive enough that it really upset you. Because you don't get upset very often.
I also really think that I think you had reacted poorly, or, well, of course, you reacted the way you probably needed to react when you'd said that. And by responding the way that you did, I think I probably had a bit of a flashback to my first marriage where it turned out that the way I was not healthy for that person, and I kept on upsetting them, and eventually I discovered that it was time to go out of that relationship for the sake of both of us, but especially her, so I did. And then I'm starting to see the same thing with you. My existence, me living the life the way that I wanted to, was harmful to you. And I saw that, and I think it probably triggered me, scared me, and I had to get out of that conversation. How's that for another potential cover story? I
think that's a good story.
But, there's lots of reasons why that happens. But people hang up on each other once in a while. And that's not our style, no. But it happened.
We've never been the kind of couple or even friends that were like fighters, yellers, screamers, slamming doors,
yeah.
Or hanging up on each other. So it had to be really bad if you were going to do that. So, yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, this is now June 29th of 99. And so about a month later, and I actually got brave enough to call Rob. We hadn't spoken in all of that time. And something in me just really needed to call him. He was on my mind, so I called him. So I said I called Rob. It was really interesting. He said he was strongly thinking of me about 10 minutes before I phoned. As we would call that now, TF moment.
Yeah.
Total TF moment. He was looking at the last installment of War and Remembrance, the set I bought him for Christmas 2 years ago. It's the only one in the series that we've not yet seen. So does that mean Rob's back in my life? I hope so. He said he can call me now. He's over the hurt enough to call. That's good. It's been so long since I've seen him. So I was feeling so relieved to have him at least back in my life in terms of phone calls, being able to phone each other. Didn't know when I'd see him again, but I just felt happy to know that I had him back. I hadn't completely destroyed our friendship or connection, or whatever it was at that point. Any comments from you on that?
Oh, yes, but I'm always a sucker to let someone reconnect.
Yes.
I dislike the thought of permanently burning bridges. There's always a road back. Even if it doesn't require an apology, I always try to leave a road back. And, well, road was taken. I respected that.
And speaking of apologies, a couple days later after I had called him and we talked a bit, I certainly wasn't able in a phone conversation to explain everything as to why I triggered him so much and why I was so upset. So I wrote him a letter. So I just said in my journal, I just finished writing Rob a letter of apology and explanation for my anger and retaliation that night when he hung up on me. I understand his hurt now, but I also had to explain my hurt. I've never gotten over the whole incident of him cheating on me with Karmic One, and I felt very hurt and angry and betrayed. So at least we were clearing things up. You know, we had a deep enough respect. Even though we weren't dating anymore, we respected each other enough in a friendship to value the friendship and want to nurture it. So we, even if it was hard stuff, we were talking through things and working through them.
Can I tangent here just a little bit?
Go. You're the king of tangents.
You used the word cheating, and that word's been rattling about my head now for about 30 seconds ever since you did that. This happens in these relationships that start and stop and start and stop. When are you actually together with someone enough that being with someone else is cheating versus just being in touch with someone that's been now placed in a role of friendship, and therefore relationships that may be physical with someone else are allowed? I have to ask for a lot of caution out there, because for the people, you people that are watching, and for us, based upon the experience that I've had, I've really noticed that there's the three-dimensional, there I go again, the three-dimensional version of cheating, like the thought that goes with it. And then there's what the soul can accept. And sometimes when we're living our lives and being with other people in a 3D way, we can rationalize in a 3D way that it's okay, but our soul is not ready to let go of someone else that you're with. And so what is a case of moving on for one person and what they can actually think is still for how their soul reacts, the pain, the hurt, the fear of permanent separation. To them, it may still feel like cheating because, well, you talked to me on the phone a month ago, so that means we're still together. But yet the other person doesn't think that way because it's been a month. So, I think that's enough of my tangent. I think you get my point that when you're in a twin flame relationship that maybe starting or stopping, maybe just be careful that what you say or do isn't going to be hurtful, not only on a 3D level to someone, but on a soul level too. Watch all those. And sometimes people react in a way that they don't understand because it's their soul that's crying in pain.
And they're being triggered. The stuff they need to heal is being triggered, and I was being triggered. So it obviously was coming up for healing. All right, so now this is September of '99, and I said, well, I talked with Rob last night, nearly 2 hours. Had a good talk. I got last night what I didn't get the Saturday we went for dinner. So we had just gone for dinner a couple days before, and it was the first time we'd seen each other in many months.
Many months, yes.
So we were just kind of closed. We couldn't really have like a deep, open, intimate talk. We were just kind of like walls up, big time, masks on.
Well, the past couple of times we'd communicated, it hadn't gone perfectly, so I think we were both afraid to actually talk. I didn't know how open I could be, and she probably didn't either.
Yeah, for sure. So I was saying we connected last night and had a good, honest, intimate talk. He got my letter and has read it 4 times. Now, how respectful. Somebody cared enough of everything that I had to say and wanted to express that he read my letter not once, not twice, but 4 times.
I really wanted to get it right. For whatever reason, it was still very important to me.
So he said we talked about what his need is, about his need to constantly be analyzing and thinking and learning, and how I feel so damn inadequate around him. We went back to his childhood and connected with his need to always be learning and proving that he knows stuff. It goes back to him being a kid and hanging out with all those people so much older than him, always feeling like he had to measure up. He's still trying to prove himself to the world 20 years later. And I told him to go back to that feeling as a child of inadequacy. And I said, that's how I feel when I'm around you. I think he's starting to get it. So we were really starting to work out a lot of the stuff that made us not work out in the beginning, a couple years earlier when we first met, and we were having a lot of trouble. And it was really healthy for us to have lots of good talks. Now that we were just friends, we were able to really be honest and say, okay, this is what happened for me in the relationship, and you would share the same things with me and things that weren't going well. And so it was very healthy for both of us.
I think the time apart was starting to heal our wounds. We weren't creating bad moments that would keep us focused on not learning. We were starting to have enough of a past that we could look back at it and start to see where things were going right or wrong in times that we communicated. It's too bad you have to wait so long to have a past to analyze, but it's just how it works sometimes.
Yeah. So more on that night of our conversation, I said I told Rob that I have a huge fear of rejection around him because I used to try and do things for him, like heat up his dinner. But it was never good enough. He always had a better way of doing things, and I felt that therefore my way and me was rejected. So I stopped instigating and I stopped offering. I stopped giving of myself because I always felt rejected. Is that like a huge avalanche?
We got a huge avalanche going on behind us. I can't see it, but we can certainly hear it.
It's like thunder.
Oh well. Yeah, okay, continuing on. It's across the valley. It's not going to get here.
Yeah, we're okay. So I explained to Rob that I understand that he wasn't intentionally rejecting me, but I'm a giver. I'm a nurse. It's who I am. If my nurturing is not accepted, I take it personally as if I'm not accepted. It's nice to finally work through all of these things with Rob now that we're just friends. We talked a lot about us, the past, and why we didn't work out. It's awesome, I think. I really enjoyed our talk and got so much out of it. So you can see, even back then, I was recognizing how beneficial it was that now that we were just friends, we were able to share and communicate and be honest with each other about what didn't work and move past it.
No comment.
Okay. Okay, so here we are just going from working on things and doing well in our friendship in September, and then December, things go really bad.
4 months, poof.
And before I explain what happened, I'll explain why it happened. I was just really struggling still with the whole Rob thing. We would connect, we would talk, and I was still missing him. Even though I was dating somebody else, I was really missing him, really missing being in a relationship with him, and I couldn't handle it. I couldn't deal with the thought of wanting to be in a relationship with him, but him dating other people and me dating other people. So I said, I finally did it. I feel free. I said goodbye to Robert once and for all. Yeah, right. You're playing. You know that there's never goodbye once and for all. So much to say, but it's been a long day and I'm exhausted now. I do feel free and liberated. I've made peace with having to let Rob go. I cried lots because I knew that it was going to be something hard. I did the right thing, and I feel like a huge weight has been lifted, though. I pray for Rob. He's had a hard night. Apparently both, and I'll, instead of her name, call her Karmic One, and I said goodbye forever in the same night, only an hour apart. Obviously, another attempt to wake up Rob.
Well, yeah, sure. Here's Karmic One that's been in and out of my life for 3 or 4 years, and now Karmic One and Angie in about an hour apart, all in the same evening. I was rattled. I was rattled. I was all of a sudden feeling very alone. I really was. And I had space in my life that I wish that I didn't have. I'm not much of an alone person. I can't go months or years just being on my own. I'm too social. I like companionship too much. I'd rather be with people all day than myself for 2 days totally on my own. So this all of a sudden was hard on me. And the thing is, both Karmic One and Angie were important to me. They as much as they were relationship friend, relationship, both bouncing back and forth a little bit here, especially with Karmic One having been in my life more. I was shocked. I was devastated. I didn't know what to think. Both of them gone one evening. I was lost.
And also, this was the night that I ripped up all the letters that I have from Rob and
Aww.
got rid of the little Ewok that I got Christmas one year from him.
Aww.
So yeah, that's when I was like, this man needs to be out of my life. And I didn't really know, even though I'd taken Reiki, I was surprised I never cut cords. But I guess I didn't really understand back then enough about cutting cords, or didn't think to with him. But that was my idea of cutting cords. Rip up all his letters, get rid of the little stuffed animal he gave me, any cards, any memory of Rob, gone. Sorry.
Yeah, it would have been nice. I never did that oppositely. I just always kept a little pile of memoirs of people, and that's where the odd piece of paper, an odd note or card has come from. But I tucked it away, and I never got choked enough with this whole situation to get rid of it.
Yeah. In fact, later we're going to show you a piece of a card that Rob still has that I made for him. That'll come in a bit. But first, now, so this was December 4th that I said to Rob, we're done, don't ever talk to me again. December 15th, only like what, a week and a half later, I said, I've been thinking of Rob at work all evening because of music. Amanda Marshall song. Do you remember the Amanda Marshall song we talked about in our other videos, Trust Me, This Is Love? Oh my Lord, it wouldn't quit. It was everywhere. And then I said, and also a patient whose last name is the same as him came in. So I know some of you talk about, like, the signs are everywhere. I'm trying to forget this person, and their name is everywhere, their birthday, like everything about them is just all over the place. Yep, I went through that too, and it really, really sucked. You're like, universe, what? What do you want from me? I'm trying to get this person out of my life. Leave me alone. It didn't work. So then, January 2nd of 2000, I said, another restless sleep. I woke at, get this, 1:11 in the morning.
It's written right there in the journal.
Yep. So funny.
And what did 1:11 mean to us back then?
Nothing. We had no clue.
Zero. Ugh.
And what's funny is I woke at 1:11 again. So this must have been happening for a while.
Waking up early in the morning.
Yep.
Just at 1:11.
So I said, then I woke up this morning thinking of Rob and got the Lionel Cartwright song in my head, Let's Try Again. So here I am trying to let go of this man, and I'm feeling like some sort of call from within me that, I don't know if it's him or me or what, but I'm feeling like something's telling me we're supposed to not be done. Confusing or what? Now, before I carry on, do you have any, like, do you remember what it was like at that time when we can say I fired you? I
Yeah.
Fire you.
Yay. Oh. I can't honestly truly remember any day-to-day or week-to-week feelings, but it was during this time, I'm trying to just remember whether or not this was my third angel timer. She came into my life for just a short amount of time.
Might have been.
Yes, my third angel Um, she she was only in my life for about 3 months, but I believe she came along then, and she was a lesson to me from the point of view that she was from the northern Philippines, and she had a different religious background. She was still quite spiritual, but ultimately there was things that we didn't get along with. We weren't together long, but she still taught me stuff. But it was, again, I don't have a lot of problem moving on, but I don't recall any of that feeling like a very comfortable time. I wasn't flying high. I wasn't moving on. I wasn't out making $1 million at a job or anything. It was just very much bland.
Okay. So now this was still January 2nd of 2000, and I was just so frustrated with thinking of Rob so much, so I asked the angels for help. I said, angels, help me get to the bottom of this. Now, interesting, if you remember in our last video, I was saying I wasn't talking to the angels anymore. I wasn't really asking for help with anything. So I must have been really desperate to be asking for help from angels. So I said, help me get to the bottom of this whole Robert thing. I need to let him go for good, not just in the sense of not talking to him. Help me with this. So I did a meditation, and I got some answers. I said Rob was with me, but I told him he had to make a choice, either open up to the spiritual or say goodbye to me. Well, he chose B and wasn't there for the rest of the meditation. Then I saw my highest angel guide. She told me I had to accept Rob's choice and let him go in love. I learned more about why it's been so hard for me to let him go, because we agreed to do so much together in this life. That's why I can't accept doing it alone. I was told no one can say for sure about Rob one way or the other. It's his choice whether he will choose to follow his agreed mission or not. I was also told if he does not, I will still have plenty of help in doing what I need to do. So if you remember long time ago in our story, the angels had told me we had a mission together. They didn't tell me we were twin flames or anything like that, but they told me we had a purpose together, and they used the word mission. So now they're reassuring me and saying, don't worry, if Rob chooses not to do this, we will still find you help and you'll be able to accomplish your mission. Everything will be fine. So even if Rob chooses not to honor our agreement, I'll be fine and we'll be able to accomplish what I set out to do. I've been having such a hard time letting him go, though, for a few reasons. Because of fear that I can't accomplish my mission without him, and because I've been depending on his love instead of love and nurturing myself. Ah, interesting. So I was getting some awareness that maybe I need to let Rob go because I'm depending on him too much. I need to love me. I was told to stop sending energy and stop holding on. It was up to Rob and only Rob to make the decision now. I need to concentrate on me because there's not much time left. I'm the only one holding me back. And I can't hold on to Rob. There's a part of me that doesn't want to go through my mission without Rob because it's just not the same as him and I doing it together. I fear being alone without him on my path. So I was just feeling really sad, like I don't want to do this life alone. We agreed to do this together. Whatever our mission is, I want to do it with him. So it was very heartbreaking for me to have to let go. I said, though, I need to accept Rob's decision with love and let go of the resentment and anger. He has free will, and I have to honor his choices as a human, even though he made a different choice in spirit form. Now, I've come to learn differently since then that, sure, we can make all the choices we want in our human ego self, but when it comes down to it, our soul is going to bring us back to the path because we're here for a much greater purpose than just being together in some romantic relationship. We're all here to serve, and we came with a very deep, strong commitment to serve the earth and serve humanity through this ascension. So I've come to understand, sure, the human side can decide all at once it's not going down the path, but it's going. You're here.
Yep.
And I'm here, so.
We are here.
Yep. So I said, I need to remember that even if he doesn't walk this path with me, he will always be with me in spirit. And in a very short period of time, we will be together again in spirit. So I was just trying to comfort myself any way I could, really. Just telling myself, you know what, it's okay, even though he's not going to be with you now. It'll be later. I was rational. Really was, So now this is January 12th. And I was saying it's been a think of Rob day. So here I am. I've done this meditation. I've understood I need to let him go, but still, he's everywhere. I heard a song at work this morning that made me think of him, and I almost called his number just to hear his voice on the machine. I didn't though. Then tonight he was on my mind again. I've had one whole day of not thinking of him. So, one whole day without thinking of Rob. He was on my mind 24/7, and it was brutal. Everything reminded me of him. Everywhere I went reminded me of him. In fact, here's another example. February 27th. Okay, what's going on?
February 27th of 2000.
Yep.
Happy new millennium.
Yeah, good point. Said, Amanda Marshall's song, Trust Me This Is Love, is on again. What? What am I being told? I don't get it. Is it about Rob? What does it mean? Is there still hope for us? What? What? I don't get it. So you can tell I'm just frustrated and confused. 3 times in one day and a half, and I hear the same song, Rob's and my song. What do I make of it? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to be getting over and letting go of him and not reminiscing about him? Yet here I am going back to all these songs and everything that reminds me of him. I simply don't understand. I'm so confused. What kind of message am I being sent? First I'm told to let Rob go, then stop thinking about him, stop wishing and hoping. But maybe it's a test to still let go. Okay, still let go. Let him go. Let go of wishing, dreaming, hoping, and fantasizing. Let him go, I wrote in big letters. What the hell?
This letting go bit's really, really hard.
The more I tried to not think of you, the more I thought of you. You were just there, constantly.
Okay, this is my first time to move. Angie can keep on going.
Except I lost my page. Now, just while I'm finding my page, I'm going to show you. I had 9 journals, because of course we're covering like a huge time period.
9 journals. She was very nice to me. She didn't make me carry 9 journals in the backpack up steep, snowy slopes.
That would have been evil.
Oh, the backpack might not have been big enough.
Yeah. So what I did is I just photocopied everything, and so I just have like papers. But now I'm having to flip and keep track. Which side do I flip from? Read from? So every once in a while I lose my place.
Am I still in the picture? Oh, there I am. I still exist.
Hey, you exist. Yay.
I have an elbow dug into the snow here, so it's got its little spot. Oh, hey. We have a bug. We have a moth.
By the way, it's April 15th that we're doing this, and there is a whackload of snow out here, as you can see. Oh, look at that! And a moth that just flew away.
Yep.
So there are signs of spring, despite the tremendous amount of snow that's here.
I don't know what the bug was thinking, but hopefully it didn't have animosity.
Oh boy, really? You're going to subject other people to your bad joke? Oh no, I'm sorry.
Okay, we have digressed.
Moving on. April 18th of 2000. So this is 4 months after I told Rob I want no more communication from you. 11:10, not 11:11 p.m. 11:10 p.m.
Oh, good.
I'm writing in my journal. Okay, I'm crazy. I just spoke with Robert for the last hour. I did it. I called him. He's been on my mind all day, so I finally did it. He was happy to hear from me, yet surprised, but happy. I'm shaking. I don't even know where to go from here. I still have feelings for him, but I can't see us together at this point. Too different. I didn't feel the connection I had hoped to feel either. I got a phone hug, though, which was really nice. Because you always do.
Phone hug.
Yeah. Now we do text hugs.
Yeah.
Anyhow, now that I have satisfied the need and curiosity, I can go to sleep. First thing Rob admitted is that he thinks of me nearly every day still. Aww.
You know, I didn't think that I thought of her almost every day at this time of my life, but we got it in writing, so.
Yep, it's true. The journals don't lie.
Journals don't lie. They know what's happening.
Then I said, so I admitted that I made it through one whole day without thinking of him. So in 4 months of not speaking, he thought of me every day, I thought of him every day but once. So, yeah, this love that won't die, still here. So now this is April 27th, and I said it feels good having Rob back in my life. I don't beat myself up when I think of him now. It feels better and less pressure to let him go. Not ready to actually see him though, maybe a bit before I see him again. So I was realizing that it was kind of one of those things, you know how the more somebody says don't think of something, the more you do? It was like finally I accepted, you know what, stop trying so hard. It was so much easier to not force him out of my life and just let it happen naturally, because it didn't feel like such a pressure to don't think of Rob. The more I didn't want to think of Rob, the more I thought of Rob. But still, I was trying to not have him too much in my life, and this next journal bit explains that. This is now June. I don't think we still saw each other. April to June, we still
No, I
hadn't
don't think
seen
we
each
did.
other in person.
This was one of a few big gaps, and then there's a huge gap, but that's coming up.
Yeah. So I said I saw Rob rollerblading. That threw me for a loop. What? What is it with him? Why will he not leave my life? First, I meet someone at the clinic who works with him. This is, by the way, I was working at a medical clinic by this time as a nurse.
She actually did finally work as a nurse.
Yes, I did. Shocking. I need to just get him out of my life. Why, oh why is this so hard to do? There's things about him that I still miss tremendously. But there are even more things about him that drive me nuts. Sorry.
I guess when she saw me rollerblading, I guess I was with one of my friends.
Yeah.
Just going by.
And super intense as you were back then.
Yeah.
Gotta go like a bazillion miles a minute.
Yep. Break the speed limit.
Yep.
12-mile-an-hour speed limit on the paths. Well, let's shoot for 20.
Yep.
No one's got their radar out. Actually, back then they didn't. Now they do. Now the police are out there on the bike paths and rollerblading paths, making sure you're not speeding.
Tangent.
Tangent.
Oh no, where was I? It's so hard to let him go when I thought he was the one. I thought I was going to marry him. What am I going to do about him? How frustrating. So this damn man will just not leave my life. Try as I may to get him out of my life, he's still there. So, of course, since he's still there, we finally decided to meet each other in person again. It's a bad idea for us.
That's always bad.
This was now in August of 2000. It's funny. What?
Go ahead.
It's funny. Last night, Rob says to me, only be with someone who wants to kiss you all over. He says this as he's kissing my eyelids, my nose, my forehead, my ears, my neck, etc., etc.
I'm not here.
Yeah. I don't think there was hardly ever a time back then that we could actually get together and just keep it platonic.
Unless we were at a restaurant.
Well, yeah. But if we went to each other's apartment,
problems, trouble.
Not responsible adults.
She's just so darn adorable.
That's right. I'm getting blushing.
Blushing in the sunlight.
Yeah.
Almost sunlight.
Okay, now speaking of getting together, being irresponsible, here's more of that.
Okay.
September 26th, 2000. I was just off to bed at 11 p.m. when the phone rang. Robert. He was home from badminton and wound up, so we called. We talked for some time, and he talked of having a missing me night and wanting to snuggle with me.
Oh, God. Wanting to snuggle. You don't have to read very far into that.
Finally, after much talk and figuring and negotiating, we decided I'd go over. So at least this time we were responsible enough to make the decision consciously. We knew that if we saw each other, we knew what was going to happen, because we know us.
But we're not dating. Nope.
No. In fact, at this point, we're still sort of seeing other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
had a moment where I was dating Wade, but still had a night with you. Yes, I will admit that. Not the most mature people sometimes. Didn't make all the most responsible decisions, but the love that won't die just keeps pulling you back. So, yes. So, I was at his place for probably 12:30 in the morning. It was nice to snuggle for a while. Wow, I forgot what a Rob snuggle is really like. Tight and real and full of love. I could definitely feel the energy between us. Wow, could I feel it. So, yeah, nothing had changed in that sense. We still couldn't be together in a dating relationship because we were just too different and triggered each other and clashed and had too much work to do on ourselves, but didn't mean the love wasn't still there. Love was definitely still there. So I said, the more I talk of Rob, the more I appreciate him and love him. We have magic together that I just don't think I'll ever find elsewhere. He loves me unconditionally. Yeah. Rob and Angie, here we are.
Unconditional love that hung up on her ear a few months earlier.
Okay, now this is interesting. This is, again, back then,
gosh,
we didn't know we were twin flames. We didn't know we had a connection enough. We just lost us. They can still see us, but we can't see them.
Oh,
I don't think, anyway. I don't know what happened. You might be just gone. Uh-oh. Don't know what happened. Oh, you're still there. Yay.
Oh, we're here?
We thought we lost you.
Yay.
Our screen just went blank. Oh, no, we got our computer to sit straight.
Okay, I'm going to have to get up and do an adjustment.
This is what happens when you do outside videos.
Oh, outside on the side of a mountain videos.
Yeah.
Ah.
Okay, if we just all sit differently, it'll be okay.
Okay, we'll go like that.
Sorry, we didn't mean to lose you.
And that towel will hold that in place. We'll cover the keyboard back up. We're all crooked.
Okay.
And I'm here. I'm here. Oh yeah, you're over there. You can sniggle over to the middle a little bit more. Okay. We're back.
All right, so this is October 21st, and I was saying that because we didn't know of the connection we had, we didn't know really that we could feel each other and feel things that were going on. But I really picked up on something going on. I said I felt sad, like I had lost someone. Not thinking much of it, I called Rob. That was at 5 p.m. He told me he's considering dating someone. She's 52. Wow. So that explained my sadness and my loss of someone. I felt really sad after talking to him. So this was the first person you had really dated after we broke up.
Yes,
Karmic one was like always in and out.
Oh,
He didn't really count.
Yeah, and angel number 3 had kind of come and gone. That was a very, very gentle relationship. This sounds like Betty. This is Betty.
Yeah.
This is the lady that was significantly older than me, but also had a deep spiritual connection to native spirituality. Okay. So, yeah, this is the time of Betty.
Yes. And I, even though I didn't know about her at the time, I could feel it. It's just, I really felt like I was losing somebody. And it made sense after calling him. And it's funny that he's the one I called. I didn't even know why I called him. Just when I felt. So now this is January 25th of 2001. And I said, okay, I think the universe is giving me some sort of message. Last night I got an email from a guy named Robert Parks. Then Rob number 2,
Me,
called. Then tonight there was a message on my answering machine that said, this is Robin calling for Rob. Obviously wrong number, but Robin, Rob, strange. Then Rob called and came over. So what is it with all these Robs? Just coincidence or a message telling me that Rob is definitely a soulmate? I was just still trying to find answers and understand all this. Alright, so here's the Rob stuff again. It was nice to snuggle with Rob, but I now solidly know he's not the one.
I'm not the one. I have officially failed.
So can you see how much I went back and forth? Rob yes, Rob no. Rob yes, Rob no. I was so confused. So I wrote my strange life with all these Robs. I wish I knew what it all meant. Then, I, for some reason, didn't photocopy this one in my journal, but I wanted to talk about it. Rob and I went to dinner. He was now dating Betty. And we went to dinner, and you were telling me that she was another nurse.
Yeah, another nurse. Yes, she was an RNA.
Yeah. So I was saying, I think it's really interesting that you attract nurses. And I said, here's the lesson I think there is in it. Because I always thought in lessons. Everything to me has always been, what am I supposed to learn out of it? So I said to him, I think the lesson is for you to learn to accept nurturing from other nurturers instead of just giving it. Because Rob was never good in our relationship way back then at being nurtured. He could only give love. He couldn't really receive it well. And that's what I was saying to him in one of our other discussions, is that I always felt rejected because I couldn't, no matter what I did, it wasn't good enough for him. And it wasn't about me, it was his own insecurities and his inability to accept help back then.
Yeah, I was always trying to be the rough and tough one. I would nurture other people, but nope, I never needed any help. I can just look after myself. Thank you very much. I can look after that meal. I can straighten up the place. Shouldn't have made it a mess to begin with. I didn't want help. I was probably struggling to be a lot independent. But then again, I was also on my own and out of my comfort zones too. I'm not good at being independent, so I was probably trying to learn how. I'm not good at learning stuff like that.
It was a good discussion. I really enjoyed that night talking with you and being able to explain to you more about, hey, I think you keep attracting nurturers because the universe is trying to teach you, learn to be nurtured. Don't just be the nurturer. Which is not teaching nurturing, but sit down. It's fun now.
We have sun, but it's also snowing just a little bit.
Yes, it is. It's pretty actually.
Yeah.
Welcome to April 15th. Yeah, it's really supposed to be spring.
Yep, that's definitely snow coming out of what used to be clouds over there, but now it's sunny. We live in a very confusing place. And when it gets sunny, it snows. Yeah.
Now this is where the little card comes in.
Oh, we got a little card.
If you want to read it. This is February of 2001. I was now dating Rob number 4. So I was kind of moving on from Rob number 2.
Bye.
But in seeing other Robs, I felt deep gratitude for you and all the work we had done. So I made you a little card.
This is a little card, very homemade. It's full of thank yous. Thank yous with thank you sprinkles on top. Yeah. Yep, February of 01. Should I read it?
Yeah.
It says, Rob, I have been wanting to send you a thank you for being such a great friend. See, we're friends.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful to have you still in my life despite all we have been through. Words can't say enough about how much I appreciate you and all you have done for me. It takes a special person to walk the path you walked with me, and I will always hold you high in regard to that. Thank you. Much love and appreciation to you. What else can I say but thank you, Angie?
That's so nice that you still have that.
Yeah,
Aww.
kept it, tucked it away,
Yeah.
went in my memoirs file.
I was just feeling really deep gratitude for him. Now that I was with the Rob that I thought I was going to marry, Rob number 4, I just was reflecting back on my life and thinking, Rob number 2 and I have been through a lot, and he has been a wonderful friend. So I wanted to let him know that. So now, next in our story is July of 2001. I was now broken up with Rob number 4 because he, as from our last video, broke up with me the day I was officially moving in with him. So I was back to being single once again. And something, just so you know, Rob and I, Rob number 2 here, and I, clarify all the Robs, have never in our past been really good at being single. This is why we would always reconnect with each other when we were single. And sometimes we didn't.
Hola.
Yeah.
Now this is by July. So by now, Betty had come in and mostly gone out of my life by then. This is now whipped through almost a whole another year.
Yeah.
But I was in another summer full of kayaking. With the odd mountain climb.
So I said a storm was rolling in, and I thought of Rob number 2, because we used to chase storms when we were dating.
We go burn off a half a tank of gas chasing a thunderstorm across the prairie.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Yeah.
So storms made me think of him. So I called him. He invited me over to watch the storm. I knew I probably should not go, but I did.
You shouldn't do that.
No.
No.
At least then I even knew I shouldn't go. I knew our pattern by then.
Yeah.
I was very aware of what we would do. He kissed and caressed and played with my hair for hours.
Okay, can I leave the mountain now? Bye. Oh, no. It's a long ways down there. Maybe I won't. I'll stay.
But you know what? I want to our defense, explain something.
We were in love, okay?
Yes, I was going to explain that it was never just about sex. We could get sex anywhere. It was about love, the connection, that love that won't die. It was constant, even though we weren't ready to be together.
And on some levels, it didn't feel like the right thing to do because we've already tried to move on from each other, but yet it was still so connected.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder we kept drifting back together every so often.
Yep.
Keep reading. Move on.
Move on. Move on.
Move on.
All right. So this is now September 12th of 2001. This is where our lives start to change big time. No more sleepovers. I got home to a message from Robert. We talked a while as he drove to his girlfriend. Wow, he has a girlfriend. She's a friend he's known for a while during kayaking. He sounds happy, and I'm happy for him. He even let me talk on the phone with her. She seems really nice. She has 3 kids, the youngest is 7, and does accounting work. I can't wait to meet her. She seems nice.
Oh, there's a whole lot to explain there. I've even let her talk on the phone. I have this habit. Okay, hang on. There's people that are hubs and people that are spokes when you're thinking of a wheel. You know, sort of like the old wagon wheel. There's people who are in the center and they have friends that radiate out. And sometimes those friends never meet each other, just like the spokes of a wagon wheel never meet each other. So sometimes when I've got a person on the phone and I got someone else beside me that they've never met before, but they know of each other, I'll just pass the phone over and say, here, talk to this person. And then I let them meet over the phone. I did that to those 2. Now this is karmic 2, the 12-year relationship that I had.
And I got to talk to her.
You got to talk to her.
Newly dating her.
Newly dating. And yeah, she had 3 kids. By then, 2 were young adults, and then there was the little bit behind the rest of them, 7-year-olds.
And I remember, and which is why I wrote it in my journal, I was wowed by that, because the Rob I've always known is not too big on kids. So the fact that he sounded like he was seriously dating, even though it was new, this I knew was like a real, this was a change. I knew Rob was going to be gone for a while from my life. So I was shocked that he was actually seriously dating somebody with a young child. I was amazed.
So was I, actually.
Yeah. So then I do not have this next piece in my journal, probably because it was too upsetting to write in my journal.
But this next piece, I totally remember as well. We just don't know for sure which month it was, but it was shortly after this September when I passed the phone in.
So yeah, I'm guessing it was December, and December 2001. Rob and I went for dinner. He was still dating, newly dating, karmic number 2, and he told me he was smitten.
There's a word that is big in our vocabulary because this was a really hard time on Angie. I didn't quite realize how callous that was. When you tell someone that they're smitten with someone else, and yet the person you're talking to wishes that you were smitten with them, that really, really hurt.
Yeah.
But I was off and on that.
You were.
Yeah,
you were so in love.
As much as she thought she was going to be marrying Rob number 4, I was with karmic number 2, and I was thinking this was going to be long term. Not that it didn't eventually be 12 years and long term. It's pretty long.
Yeah.
But I was pretty happy with what was happening there.
Yep. So yeah, he was smitten, and I had a knife stabbing through my heart, going, oh, that's in the world I want to hear.
Sorry.
Yeah. So 4 months later from that kind of time period was January 27th of 2002. So Rob and I, of course, were not having much connection at all now because he's in a new relationship.
Nope,
he's happy, he's in love. But oddly enough, he did call me at this time, which I still find kind of weird.
I probably was even still in telephone conversation with karmic 1.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I hate letting people go out of my life. I like to still, like I said earlier, leave them room to still be there. And I miss my people. I do. Aww.
Yeah. So I got a call from Rob, and then I put in brackets, number 2, today. He just got back from another one of his Caribbean cruises. Oh, I want to go on a cruise. Now, I had to write in that part about that I want to go on a cruise. I literally wrote that. But I wanted to read that because we're going to share in a minute how funny that is.
Yeah, I've got this habit. I go on cruises. Uh, my first cruise was on the world's largest cruise ship at that time. It was 102,000 tons. A nice big ship. But ships get bigger and bigger. And this particular cruise that I went on was on the biggest ship of that time. It was 146,000 tons. They got a lot bigger. I was impressed. It even had a skating rink in it. There, that might tell a few of you the line, but I'm not here to promote it. So yeah, now when we got back together, 20, in 2014 to 2015, we went on, 2016, we went on a cruise.
Yeah.
And that happened to be 226,000 tons. That's the world's largest cruise ship again. I don't know why I like the big ones. Some people hate the big ones. I like the big ones. With lots to do on them and new stuff and fun and big, and you don't even know that you're on a ship because they feel like you're in just a big hotel.
Yeah.
And then our last little break from video here, a couple of videos ago, was another cruise on the sister ship of the big one we were on last time. It was just a little bit heavier, so yeah, okay, bragging rights again. Time number 4 for me. So
the largest ship in the world every time.
She wanted to go on a cruise. We've now been on 2 together.
Yes, I got my wish.
Yes.
So
times 2 and many more.
And see how times change. Yes, yes. For those of you that your twin is now in a relationship with someone else and you're devastated, so was I. I so understand. And here he is going on a cruise with her, and I'm like, oh man, I want that to be me. Well, time had to go by, but it is me now. Yeah. It is us on cruise ships together. So from there on in, we've had very little contact from 2002 onwards because he was with Karmic 2 and I was back with Wade. I had accepted that I wasn't, we were done.
We were done.
And I still had Wade in the background trying to convince me that I should be with him. So I finally surrendered from, the story from our last video. And it was like, fine, all the 4 Robs haven't worked out. Might as well move on with my life.
So I just would like to clarify a little bit that we went, geez, we just got another giant avalanche back there again. I'm all distracted. Sorry, folks, you have to sometimes wait for us to have fun. But it's not doing the video bit. It just gets noisy back there. It's really hard to see where the snow's coming from because it could be echoing from anywhere across the valley, not just what I can see. Getting back to video bits, we went a few years without seeing each other. Are we at this point now?
Well, I wanted to add before
you laugh.
I wanted to talk about my life between lives regression a little bit more.
Okay, I'm jumping the gun. I always do that. Go ahead.
I mentioned in our last video in 2004, I had what's called the life between lives regression. And in that, Rob had told me that we were not meant to be together in this lifetime. And that's when I finally let him go and surrendered to marrying Wade, who wanted to get married. So I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on that as to why Rob would say we weren't meant to be together when yet we are meant to be together. And our souls knew that. Again, our human self didn't know that, but at the time, of course, our souls knew that. So do you want to explain that?
You can go ahead.
Oh, I thought you wanted to talk about the lifetime thing.
Well, yeah, okay, I will do that. When you talk, when she had heard during this life between lives thing that I had said on a soul level that we were not meant to be together. Now, in this lifetime,
yes.
I like to go back to what I call a very wise statement that people in your life can be in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I really think that somewhere along the line, we didn't quite pick the message up right. I think when I was saying that, I think that we weren't meant to be together for that season. Because in my life, even right today, when I talk about, let's say, my time with Karmic 2, I talk about in my previous lifetime,
yes,
meaning
being my time with her,
I refer to that as being the previous lifetime, but then I've got my life before that, but after my first marriage, and I got my life during my first marriage, and then my high school times from before that, and with all the jet boat racing and everything my dad, mom, and I were involved with my dad's brother. So I feel like I've had like 5 lives in this life.
Yes.
And this, and now that we are back together and doing all this, this is very definitely a 6th, and I really feel like it's settling into being the final life within this life. So we weren't meant to be together for that lifetime during that time of our lives.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it that twist, and I wonder how many other people really have that feeling of having had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 separate lives within a life, numerous lifetimes within one living.
I know, I feel that way too. So
yeah.
Makes sense to me. So yeah, but and also I believe your soul had to tell me what I needed to hear in order to move on. Because had I thought that I still had a chance with Rob, I wouldn't have married Wade. I would have waited. And
you would have waited instead of marrying Wade.
Yes. Uh-huh. Somebody's very funny today.
I'm a little out of control.
Really down the hill.
Like I said, that's a big downhill.
So he told me what I needed to hear in order for me to carry on with my life and get the lessons I needed in order for us to come back together. So, in my opinion, it was all very divine in how it worked. I needed to be told, don't wait for me. Go on with your life.
Go away. Go out and learn and experience some more life.
Yep.
If we're meant to get back in touch with each other, we will.
Yep. And that's what I had to do. And so that was then, the next time we reconnected was not until about September of 2005. I had now married Wade. We got married in June of 2005. And we were moving to another province. So I was saying goodbye to all of my friends. And Rob, even though I hadn't seen him for many, many months at that time, probably maybe even a year.
I'm almost guessing that we hadn't seen each other more than once in a year and a half.
Yeah. Because you were happily in love with karmic too, and carrying on with your life. So we met, interestingly enough, at a Tim Hortons. We're very Canadian.
Yes, Tim Hortons restaurants, if you're not familiar with them, they're sort of like a Starbucks. They're the Canadian version, and well, they're all over the place out here. They went down into the States for a while, so you might know them.
So we met at Tim Hortons, and I was just, casually saying, hey, I'm moving away. By that point, I had let him go and moved on with my life. And I just remember he was so weird. He was weirder than his normal weird stuff.
Very, very goofy. I've thrown out 2 little jokes here. This video, try a joke every 30 seconds. Everything she said or everything I said, I turned around. I was a nerve bag because I was thinking, I may never see her again. I was scared. I was like, no. Let's stay friends. But what do you mean you're moving away? Like bye, like gone, like leaving Calgary?
Like maybe never see you again ever?
Ever. I thought this was it. And it was confusing to me on a human level, but my soul was screaming at me. I don't know what it was screaming, but there was pain. It was painful. And the only way I could smile my way through this, I think, was to be jokey all the time.
And yet, for me, I had no clue. I thought, honestly, and this might not be the nicest thing to say, but I remember sitting there in the Tim Hortons thinking to myself, what did I ever see in him? He's so bizarre. How did I ever date this man? Because he was just over the top with weirdness. And I didn't know that it was because he was distressed about the fact of maybe never seeing me again. I thought he was long gone, happily in love with karmic too, which he was.
I wouldn't say that I was. I was, but
there was this weird connection that we had that we didn't know we had, and now we're like, oh my God, you're never going to be in my life. This is sad.
There's a difference between barely having a connection and not having a connection. And I was looking not having a connection right in the eyes, and I wasn't feeling good. It was bad. It hurt.
Yeah. So then the next time we had any communication was around February of 2008. I didn't write in a journal at this point, so we're guessing this is when it was. But this is when now I had met my boss. I was working at a new job when I had moved, and he had a center that he had just started up in Calgary and asked me to come help train the staff. So we were coming very frequently. We were driving between the other province and Calgary, which is an 8-hour drive one way. And we were doing this on a regular basis. So one of my times when I came back, as I say, I think it was February, I called Rob and just to say hi, and we ended up connecting. It was interesting how it worked out. My boss and I were shopping at Office Depot for stuff, and Rob had called me as we were shopping. So I said, well, I'm just at the Office Depot right now. Where are you? And he's like, oh, I'm just down the road. Well, I'm going to just come pick you up. So my boss got to meet him, and the next day, my boss says to me, you know he still loves you, don't you? And I was just kind of floored by that. Like, well, yeah, but no. I mean, I was like, well, of course he loves me. He's always going to love me. I'm always going to love him. Just because of the dynamic we had, the connection we had. But
it was obvious to him. It was so obvious to him that I still loved her. Just maybe the way I looked at her and gave her a hug.
He knew.
He knew.
And this is the man that became my karmic that I dated for 6 years. So very interesting that he knew about Rob even before him and I were an item. He could see the love in Rob's eyes, which I just think is very interesting.
And Angie had been had a chance once to talk to my karmic number too.
In fact, that's our next thing. You want to share that? Dinner?
The dinner. For whatever reason, I had a touch of insanity come across me. And I thought it would be a great idea to get karmic number 2 and Angie to meet. So we have a restaurant up here called the Cheesecake Cafe. They serve other foods, but they specialize in desserts. I got those two together at the same dinner table for supper.
Yep. This was again when I wasn't living in Calgary yet, but coming back and forth for my new job.
And it was wonderful for me. The two most strongest spiritual people in my life sitting there meeting each other. I had played down Angie's role in my life a little bit. I'd called her a former girlfriend that was just in touch. I didn't go into full detail about it, or else probably karmic 2 would have freaked out about the thought of having met Angie, but Angie knew more about karmic 2 than the other way around. But either way, they had supper together with me. It was a great moment in my life. I enjoyed that. Getting two people together, and Angie was probably examining the heck out of the relationship that we had.
Well, and by that time, though, I had truly moved on. I had truly let you go. One thing, though, that struck me, Rob with me was always so, what's the right word? Like nurturing and loving and
tactile. Touchy.
You were like that with her, and I remember my heart kind of sunk. The way you held her hand and the way you kind of touched her shoulder as she took a step up to go into the booth of where we were sitting, and I was like, you used to do that to me. I remember having just a little twinge of like, but it wasn't horrible. But it was very interesting meeting and seeing you in another relationship. Very interesting. So that was another meeting. Then when was our next one?
Okay, I'd just like to make note that we started this video in 1999.
Yes.
And now we're in 2008. There hasn't been, in reality, a whole lot of contact between us. And we've gone through 9 years of not serious dating. 9 years. Wow.
And now our next and last one of this video is the summer of 2011. I was now very deep into a relationship with my karmic. This was Regan. We had decided to name him. And his child had come to live with us, his 18-year-old, and I was struggling greatly. And to the point I was ready to leave the relationship. I was at the point I was having such a hard time because I was not knowing yet that I was an empath, but I was, and I was picking up everything this kid was feeling, not knowing, and I'd wake up angry and hateful and visualize myself killing people and thinking, what's wrong with me? That's how I learned I was an empath, and we're going to get more into that in the next video. But anyway, I was thinking, I can't imagine living in a relationship with somebody that's kid is living with us. I don't know how to do this. So I was ready to leave the relationship. I was that done. So before I got to that point, I decided to call and talk to somebody who could relate to me, and who that was you.
Because I was with Karmic too, who, well, the 7-year-old had now become, what, 16-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both had mid-teen kids in our life, and neither one of us had any desire to go that direction many years earlier. So, yeah, she called me, and we met at a Tim Hortons
a different
coffee
one.
shop. A different one.
This is one that was really close to where I live.
Well, then again, it wasn't very far from where I lived either. Are you going to discuss? I didn't know where she lived, but she had figured out where I lived. I'm going to let you tell that story.
Okay.
You stalker, you.
After meeting him in this 2011 time, he was kind of on my mind again. You know how that goes. They never quite leave. And I felt this inspiration to Google him. So I Googled, and his name came up with his home phone number and his address. So I was like, wow, he lives so close to me. Like, if all the lights work great, it's a 10-minute drive from where we now live, which is where I lived before, and where you lived then.
Yeah, it wasn't that very far. It was only about a 30-block drive.
Yeah. So yes, the stalker that I am, I needed to go check out where he lived. So I drove past his house.
Okay. So I knew that she lived. I knew that she lived close to this Tim Hortons restaurant that we went to, because I drove there. She walked.
Yeah.
So I knew it had to be somewhere.
I still even remember what I wore that day.
Yeah.
My pink dress was 2 different colors of pink.
Yeah.
And I had my pink cell phone there.
All pink, and yeah. Okay.
But
she looks good in pink.
I don't remember things. Having any sort of connection with you. Like, I don't remember it being like...
No, I think we gave each other a hug at the end of that conversation. But it was definitely nice to talk about where we were in our lives right then.
Yeah, even though we hadn't seen each other in many years. Well, the last time we saw each other was the dinner with you and Karmic too.
Yeah.
That was 2008, and now it's 2011. So we had gone again years.
Another 3 years.
Without any sort of contact or anything. But just, out of the blue, I'm like, I need to talk to somebody who's going to relate to me about this whole kid thing. And that's why I called you.
So we had that conversation over. I probably had 3 donuts and a coffee, me being bad in more ways than one, thank you. And shared a hug, and she walked home, and I went back to my Karmic 2 life after taking an hour off.
And do you want to share a little bit about the conversation that we had that, like, unrelated to the whole kid thing? In terms of your relationship and how it was going?
I think that then I had completely expressed that my relationship with Karmic 2, from my point of view, was really struggling.
I didn't know that. You had expressed one thing that involved Karmic 1, but I didn't know your relationship was struggling with that.
Okay. You're going to have to fill me in.
Okay, so I only found out many years later that you were struggling. But again, I didn't know this. I thought he was very happy in his relationship. But he did make a comment about if he had to choose at that point between Karmic 1 and Karmic 2.
As much as I was technically engaged to Karmic 2, we had a conversation, and I said that if I had to marry someone right now, if someone put a gun to my head, I would choose Karmic 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was what you told me. And
that probably said a lot.
But yet I didn't really read into it. I still thought you were
happy enough.
Yeah. So we were both struggling in our karmic relationships without really the other one knowing it. Because he knew I was struggling with the kid portion of my relationship with Vegan, but you didn't know my relationship was struggling altogether, and it was. So we were both going through struggles, but neither of us really knew.
We were too guarded to actually talk specifically about them.
Yeah. So that's where we'll leave it at this video, and then we'll carry on about how we start reconnected.
I would like to say that the next video, I don't know if we're going to be outside or inside. It is mid-April. Spring has been very late. I think you can tell by the snowbanks on the rocks that there's a lot of melting to go on here, but eventually spring's going to get here, and it's going to start to melt, and you won't be able to lay down on the snow. You won't be able to stand anywhere. The world will turn into a snowy mud pit for about a month and a half, and the mountains won't really be much of an option. Unless we find an abandoned park bench somewhere, which is not entirely impossible. So, yeah, we really don't know where the next video is going to happen from, but I'm looking forward to it being more springy. We've had a long winter, very long.
And just to talk a bit about next video, we're toying with the idea right now, instead of it starting at, how we start reconnecting and all of that stuff, as maybe talking about the healing we each went through before we got back together. So all the many years we were apart, the growth, the healing.
We've done, and in the past 2 videos, we've covered about 14 years.
Yeah.
Feels like, in just a couple of videos, and the internal things. So we've talked about the external bits to relationships, but the internal healing we haven't talked much about. And I think we've got a full video. Maybe it's going to be a shorter video, but a full video we can do on that. So I think that's going to be the choice that we'll choose. And then if we have too much time left over, maybe we'll step further into the story. But one more digression of trying to figure out how to get through 14 years, and then we're gonna start to run into times of reconnecting.
Yeah. So on that note, we will say goodbye. I haven't got a clue how long this is because we can't see it.
We can't see the screen. There's just enough light that I can barely see shadows of us. So,
all right. So as always, connect with your twin to go within, and we will say goodbye from snowy Kananaskis.
bye.